Trump yesterday did a White House press conference speaking specifically about crime. And so let's deep dive into it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
You're definitely going to send National Guard troops to Chicago.
And remember, whenever y'all see dusty people that want attention, just ignore them and let's continue to rock.
I didn't say when, but the answer is, look, Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say about, we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection. We don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world, including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole right now. Parts of Los Angeles are terrible. If we didn't put out the fires, and I mean the other fires, the bullet fires, they didn't do a good job with, they should have had the water coming down, like I said. You know, we had to release the water. We had to go in and release the water to LA. It's so badly run. But if I didn't send the National Guard into Los Angeles, I would be making an announcement today. I'd be talking about Huntsville, and I'd simultaneously be saying, by the way, the Olympics is not coming to Los Angeles. If we didn't do that, and even the sheriff, the top law enforcement person in Los Angeles said, we could not have handled it without them. So that's what he said.
Make your mind up on Chicago, though?
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks, and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous. And there are people in this audience that you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged and hurt badly, and they don't want to talk about it. Maybe you were very brave in talking about it. You made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it. But there were other people in this room that have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in D.C. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a restaurant. New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago, it became what's known as a safe zone. It's a safe city. And this city was really bad, really, really bad. We took 1,600 people out, hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it.
1,600 people arrested, hundreds of guns been removed off the streets. And people are complaining and acting like that's a bad thing. So for the people that's watching this right now that looks at this as a bad thing, help me understand, how is this bad? How is this bad? How is it a bad thing for us to have safe streets? What's up, Heavenly Saint? We've been living in bad situations and bad streets for so long that we've normalized it. We got PTSD. We have PTSD, meaning that Have y'all ever been to another country and went off at a resort and actually seen how the people was living? And the people live so bad and they live so bad consistently for so long that that's just a normal way of living. Better yet, have y'all ever went into the projects? Have y'all ever went over a friend's house that was living in the projects? I remember I went over my homeboy's house and his name was Maris. His name was Maris Mitchell. And Maris died. Me and Maris went to high school together. And I remember Maris said, "Hey man, come hang out with me, bro. You know, we always used to hoop together. We used to catch the bus, the Hamilton bus and stuff like that together." And he said, "Come and hang out with me, bro. Come kick it with me." And I said, "All right, cool." So I went over and I hung over Maris's crib, and I just couldn't believe what I had witnessed. I couldn't believe that kids and young people, you know, were actually living in squalor and their parents was nowhere to be found. When I went and hung out with Maris, it wasn't no parents around. I never met his parents. I never met an auntie or uncle or nothing. And he was just hanging out at the crib by himself. And he would go to school on his own and he would hang out, you know, and we would hang out until he had to go home. And then it was school. For a lot of young Black kids, school is the place where they look forward to going to so that they can eat, so that they can have some sense of normalcy, so that they can hang out with friends. When they go home, going home for a lot of children is the problem. Going home is the problem. They don't know how to exist without guns and stuff like that. I said all the time, man, it wasn't until I was in my 20s when I first moved out of my childhood home, which it wasn't as bad when I was young, but once I got into a teenager, it was like it just got exponentially worse. And I was like 20 years old, 19, 20 years old when I finally moved out, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. And the reason that I couldn't sleep was because I was so used to hearing sirens and police and rumbling and gunshots and raid vans and all of that type of stuff in the hood. And all I was hearing was like grasshoppers and, you know, the little, you know, whatever them sounds are that they making and, you know, or whatever. When you live in a good neighborhood, I didn't hear nothing. And it took me about a week to adjust so that I could actually sleep. And when I look back at it now as a 43-year-old, crickets, whatever all of this stuff is, right? And I couldn't sleep. And I remember the first day that we went out, because I had moved after I had got carjacked. I never went back, right? So we bought a new house, moved, and all of that stuff, right? And I remember it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night because it was like a Wednesday that we moved. And it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And we was like, all right, y'all, you know, thanks for helping me move. I'm about to go treat y'all. And we drove and we had to drive miles because everything was dark and it was nothing happening out there. And that was the first time in my life that I realized that everybody actually goes to bed before 9 and 10 and 11 o'clock during the week. I had never experienced it before. I said, why is everything closed? Ain't nothing, because we used to Coney Islands being closed, 24-hour spots. You go there, it looked like it's a restaurant just popping in the daytime. Coney, all of that. I said, what? And this is the honest to God on everything true. I said, what is everything? Why is everything closed? Gas stations was closed. Everything was closed. Everybody went home for the night. I said, this is crazy. I thought it was crazy that people actually shut their business down at 9, 10, and 11 o'clock at night and nothing was open and nothing was happening. I thought it was crazy. I thought it was crazy. Used to hearing the fire trucks, used to hearing all of that stuff. It was weird. Silence was nervous for me. And that's what they used to dealing with in Baltimore, Chicago, inner city of Detroit, and different parts of these places. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying when we have these conversations, we got to understand, we know that there are good parts of all of these places, right? We know this. So you automatically understand that this is only applicable to the places that have the killings, right? The Los Angeleses. In Miami, it's a bunch of people that be dying. Go over to little Haiti. Go over there and see what happened. Crackheads everywhere. Now, the Miami that they're going to show you on the streets on Brickell is much different than the Miami that they dealing with over there in Overtown. It's different over there. Go under the bridge. Go under that bridge right in Overtown and see what you see. It looked like the Carter under there. I've never seen no junk like that in my entire life. Go under the bridge in Overtown. It looked like the Carter. It looked like the Carter.
You know, to have our nation's capital lose every week, you know, it was like years, many years where every single week somebody was killed for many, many, many consecutive weeks. This went on for years. And then we had last week, it was announced that nobody was killed last week. And I made that announcement in front of a very distinguished leader of a country. And I'm saying proudly, ladies and gentlemen, nobody was killed in Washington, D.C. this week. He looked at me like, what's that all about? I say, yeah, we have a little bit of a crime problem, and we don't have a crime problem in Washington anymore. And the mayor has been very helpful, and the police commission has been very helpful, and it's been a great team. And I would love to have Governor Pritzker call me. I'd gain respect for him and say, we do have a problem, and we'd love you to send in the troops, because you know what? The people, they have to be protected. I saw today on one of your networks, not a friendly network, except really the opposite, I would say, very unfriendly network. And they interviewed about 12 people on this morning. Most of them were African-American, who were Black. And they were saying, please, please, please let the president send in. These were people from Chicago. Please, we need help. We need help. We can't walk outside. We're petrified. If the governor of Illinois would call me up, I would love to do it. Now, we're going to do it anyway. We have the right to do it because I have an obligation to protect this country. And that includes Baltimore. I saw where Governor Moore.
Let me show you something. This is a video that I did a long time ago when I was rocking in Miami, when I was living in Miami. When I lived in Miami, I was really out in the streets, and I always explore every single part of different.
Okay.
Do you see this? I want y'all to look at this. This was in the dark side of Miami. Now, the parts that they're going to show you when everybody is jumping in their Lamborghinis and their Ferraris and their Rolls Royces and all of this stuff, I'm going to just stop it right here. This is at 3 o'clock in the daytime. This is my video. 3 o'clock in the daytime. I had to go into the archives and pull out the video. This is Miami, bro.
Do you ever speak with your kid?
Yes, I do.
This is 3 o'clock in the daytime, bro. In the streets, bro.
All right.
Going through walking in, but they're completely oblivious to different tourists, and you know they're from all over, but they're completely oblivious in that they have no idea what's right on the other side of what's been popularized or what's showing on Yelp and
On one side of the street, literally, on one side of the street is tourists, fun, parades, food trucks, and all of this stuff. Bro, you go two streets over, literally, you 2 streets over, you in a whole different world, boy. You in a whole different world. The streets, the middle of the street is clean. It's a different world, bro. It's a different world. And so when I tell people, listen, man, listen, we need the National Guard, or this is what it's really like in Miami, or this is what it's really like in Chicago, or this is what it's really like in Baltimore, or this is what it, bro, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a whole nother space. So when Trump comes on and he said, hey, listen, we need to actually send the troops in because we're not supposed to be living like this inside of the United States of America, he's absolutely right.
Or was asking me to take a walk down the street of Baltimore. Well, Baltimore is a very unsafe place. It's rated number 4 in the city, one of the worst, one of the most unsafe places anywhere in the world. But, you know, we took care. This was a beautiful thing that happened in Washington because we showed that it could be done. And this wasn't just sending big, strong guys, and they are big and they are strong. You know, we had a great decision from the Supreme Court that had to do with sort of talent. It had to do with you are put down based on merit. You can hire based on merit. So merit for a soldier or for a policeman is strong, physically fit, something, you know, having a certain ability, not a person that is woke and got the job through woke, but wasn't strong enough to lift a gun out of the holster, et cetera, et cetera. No, I looked at the police. As you know, last week I went over, we had a meeting with, there had to be 300 people, and they were all very impressive looking. And when the bad guys see them, they're not going to do a thing. And so I'm very proud of Washington. It serves as a template, and we're going to do it elsewhere. But Chicago is certainly going to be high. I would love to have him call. I would love the governor of Illinois. I'd be honored to take his call. All he has to do is say, sir, we need help. It's out of control. And everyone knows it is. He's not kidding anyone.
And here's the worst part about it. If you didn't have the social media today, because I know that social media is bad in a lot of ways. I'm gonna admit it. Like, it's a lot of toxicity. It's a lot of porn. It's a lot of people doing stuff that they're not supposed to do on the internet. They searching for little kids. They using dating apps, and they targeting whatever, right? But there's also good that happens on social media, because a lot of you guys would never have visibility into the stuff that we've been doing. See, again, my earlier content, I was documenting stuff. I was in the streets. I've seen what's happening in Detroit. I've seen what's happening in Miami. I've seen what's really happening everywhere. And so it is the social media people that actually has brought visibility to the stuff that is happening in the streets. It's not the national media. It's not the local media. It is the people like me, the people every single day that is in the streets, that is giving it to you raw and uncut and showing you and having this conversation of what's happening. So when I seen a bunch of y'all get behind the defunding the police based off of propaganda that was given to you from the Democrat Party, I was disappointed in you guys, because I'm like, what are y'all doing advocating for something that's just going to make the people that's actually going through it lives worse? Y'all don't know what it's like to deal with this type of stuff. Y'all ain't never lived. A lot of y'all apparently have forgotten, or you haven't lived in these places. You need more police, not less. You need more policing, not less. And it makes me sad, because when I see the Governor Pritzkers and the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, jump up there and say, oh man, no, we don't need you to come in and fix our community. 57 people got shot last weekend. Are you smoking crack? I have to know that you are aware of what is happening in the streets, because you're the mayor of the city. You can't tell me that you're not aware of what's going on in the streets. Are y'all serious right now? Are you serious? Y'all let protesters come in that's not even from y'all neighborhood, come in and tell you that y'all need to defund the police while they got plenty of police officers and policing in their communities. Y'all let them finesse y'all.
I would love to have, I would say, Governor Moore call, because I watched him over the weekend trying to explain that Baltimore, what they need is housing. No, they don't need housing. They need to get rid of the criminals. These are hardcore criminals. You know, we took many people off the streets of Washington, D.C. They're hardcore. They're not going to be good.
Eric D says, no way, need way more police, but you have to fund this. People complain about taxes being raised. Well, that's because we not putting the money where it's supposed to go. Eric D, God, listen, you and I both know when you was here while I was covering it, they spent billions across the United States of America on illegal migrants and illegal migrant sheltering. They spent billions, bro. We are spending trillions of dollars on propaganda outside of the United States of America. It's not that we need to tax more. It's that we need to know exactly where the money is going so we can put it to the places that it's actually supposed to be in. This ain't nothing new, bro. They don't the amount of taxes that we pay versus the amount of taxes that goes to the things that's meaningful it's a gulf. It's an ocean. It's an ocean between what we pay versus what it is that they actually divert towards the things that's meaningful. That's just the facts. You was here when I covered all of the hundreds of millions of dollars that Chicago was giving over into these ghost companies. I went through all of the documents. I went to their websites. I researched the companies and went to Wadadian. Man, who is these staffing companies? Who is these nursing companies that they're giving $100 million contracts to in the city of Chicago? You telling me that we can't get police officers? At the very least, we can't have public safety? Public safety? It's not a funding problem. It's a theft problem. This is a theft problem. Why y'all got 50 aldermen when you can put 40 more police officers on the street and get 10 aldermen? I'm telling you, bro, most of these places, they need to clean house. They need to clean house. Everybody just needs to go and they just need to start all over, bro. It's so much corruption, unions getting payoffs, government contracts, propaganda. They spending money. They spending $3 million to research. What do you mean you spending $3 million to figure out what the research is? What? Research what? Well, we need to figure out what we need to do later. So we're going to spend $3 million to do that.
10 years, in 20 years, in 2 years, they're going to be criminals. They were born to be criminals, frankly. They were born to be criminals, and they're tough and mean, and they'll cut your throat, and they won't even think about it the next day. They won't even remember that they did it. And we're not going to have those people. Washington, D.C. is now a safe zone. It's a safe place. And you can walk, Katie, you can walk right down the street with, by the way, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen, which is her husband. He was a football player for like 11 years in the NFL. He's a big person. But big doesn't mean anything when they have guns and when they have knives and everything else that they have, right? But you can walk right down the street, even by yourself, and you're totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a great thing. Yes, ma'am, please.
Calling on Democratic leaders across the country to work with you on crime. Do you see your efforts here in DC, including, for example, working with Mayor Bowser here as a model for bringing more bipartisanship in matters not only with crime, but also issues that matter to everyday American people's lives?
So Mayor Bowser's been great. She could have taken the thing, oh, well, and then after I clean it up, they'll take credit for it. You know what they do is they take credit. Like we cleaned up Los Angeles. We did a great job there. And it was overwhelming what was going on. And again, the police chief made a statement that we could not have done, there's no way they could handle it. You saw what was happening out there. It was going to be a disaster. We stopped it cold. If we didn't do that, would have been a very sad day. And, you know, remember, we have the Olympics, we have the World Cup, we have all these things coming, and we have 250, all of these things coming. But I watched Newsom get up and say he's doing a great. He's not. We're the ones that did it, and that's okay. Whatever it takes. But the main thing is But he got up and said we did it. Well, he didn't want us there, and he's going to need us again because it's starting to form again. I see it. It's starting to form again. You know, we have to maintain. It's like maintenance on an airplane. You can buy it, but you have to maintain it. And if you don't maintain it, a good plane becomes very unsafe very quickly. So. It's an honor to do it. It's a lot of presidents wouldn't do what I'm doing. I don't need this heat. But when I watched television last night and I'm watching the news and I see that 9 people were killed in Chicago and 54 were badly wounded with bullets, I say, that's not this country. We have to do something.
Yeah, that's a problem. Honestly, that's a problem. respectfully, regardless of how you may feel about Trump himself, I don't know how we can all disagree that that's not a problem. That's a problem. That's just a problem flat out all across the board. That should not be a thing. Ain't no way in the world where we should have 54 people shot in one city over a weekend. Over a weekend. A weekend. Not the year, not a month, a weekend. And you can predict it. It's so available, it's so predictable at this point. They know that it's coming and they can't do anything about it, and they're not asking for help for it. You know it. Oh man, soon as it get warm outside, it's gonna be 50 people shot minimum. Minimum. Just chalk it up on the board. 50, check mark. 50 people shot, minimum. Let's just go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57. Do you know how many people that is to catch bullets in a weekend in one city? Do you know how many people that is to catch bullets? 14-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 30-year-olds, women. 5 women was shot in one drive-by. 5 women. And then you got all of the services that's going to cost. Police is going to cost more. Firefighters, ambulances, right? Hospital bills, recovery services, GoFundMe's, funerals. It's a racket. It's a racket. It is a racket. That's disgusting. Everybody should be disgusted at that. That's not even something that we should be going back and forth about. Everybody should be disgusted at this. Everybody. That's a lot of people, bro.